the year 3078, Earth had changed. The sky was no longer blue, and the cities were surrounded by giant junkyards. Massive fields filled with broken machines, old spaceships, and alien trash. Earth had become the galaxy's dumping ground. Max lived in Junk Zone 47, one of the largest scrap fields in the northern zone. He was only 19, skinny but smart, and worked as a scavenger. Every day, Max searched the metal mountains for anything valuable, old parts, batteries, tools. He sold them in the black market to survive. One evening, the sky above the junkyard turned red. A strange light flickered in the clouds. Max looked up and saw something falling fast. It wasn't a meteor. It was a capsule, metallic, round, and glowing blue. Boom! The ground shook as the capsule crashed into the far corner of the junkyard. Max's heart raced. "That's not normal trash," he whispered to himself. Grabbing his scanner and flashlight, he ran toward the crash site. The air smelled like burned metal. Sparks flew from broken wires as he climbed over piles of scrap. When he reached the crash site, he stopped. His eyes widened. The capsule was half buried in the ground, steaming. It was about the size of a small car, with strange alien symbols glowing faintly on its surface. It looked old, damaged, but not dead. He slowly walked closer. The scanner beeped fast. "Life form detected," it said. Max froze. "Wait. What?" He placed his hand on the side of the capsule. Felt warm. There was a small window on one side, covered in dust and cracks. Max wiped it with his sleeve and looked inside. In the darkness of space, his breath caught in his throat. A lonely ship floated near the edge of a dying planet. She looked around inside. The ship was silent. Her skin was pale blue, except for the sound of heavy breathing. Snow. An alien warrior, a silver suit torn at the shoulder, lay on the cold metal floor. But suddenly, her skin was covered in wounds. Her eyes opened. His glowing armor was broken and dirty. Max jumped back. He had lost the battle. But the girl didn't move again. He had lost everything. She was alive. His name was Xylo. Weak. He was once a proud soldier from the planet Others Gora. Would find her. Now he was nothing but a prisoner. Using his creature, he had been trained to fear. The capsule door open. A human. The seal broke to the small room slid open. Cold steam poured out. A human man stepped in. The girl gasped, her chest not rising or very strong looking. Her eyes slowly turned was short, his face tired. "Don't." He wore simple black clothes and boots, she whispered. There was a strange look in his brown eyes. Then she fainted. Not anger. Max did not understand. It was something Xylo did not understand. Why was she in a capsule? The human did not speak at first. He lifted her carefully. Quietly. She was holding a small metal box that blinked. As he carried her back to his workshop, Xylo tried to move around nervously, but pain shot through his body. The junkyard was quiet. His arms and legs in the air tied with strong ropes. He reached his small shelter, helpless, a hidden place under a broken cargo ship. Xylo managed to whisper. He placed the girl on a makeshift bed and checked her condition. Not just from pain, but from fear. No wounds. The human body glowed faintly in the dark. Suddenly, he put the metal box down. He heard a beep and sat on a chair near the wall. Incoming signal. He looked at Xylo for a long time, searching for lost cargo, as if deciding what to do next. ID. "My name is Daniel," the human finally said. Max's heart sank. His voice was calm. Someone was looking for her. But there was sadness in it. He turned off the scanner quickly and sat beside Xylo's mind raced. He noticed on his planet humans were known as monsters, discarded unit, creatures that destroyed no value and showed no mercy. Experimental. But this human, Daniel, did not look like a monster. They threw her away. Broken. Like garbage? "What do you want with me?" She didn't look dangerous. Xylo asked, his voice scared. Daniel looked away, his eyes on the floor. Sirens began to echo in the distance quietly. Max stood up. "That's what my orders say." Red lights flashed in the sky. For a moment, there was only silence between them. He whispered. Xylo remembered his training. For her. The girl stirred in her sleep. Never show weakness. Her hand twitched again. But he was scared. The lights around her body had ever been in his life. Max did not want to die here. His metal tools alone on the table began to float. "Please, just slightly," Xylo said. "She's softly. Not normal. Don't kill me, human." Backing away. "I'll do anything. But she's not a mistake. I can help you fix your ship, outside the ship, or even warm your bed if you want." Inside, his words the alien girl began to whisper, and he felt shame burn in his chest. A single word. But he had no choice. "Home." He wanted to live. Took a deep breath. Daniel looked at him, he had a choice, surprised by the offer. Run and save himself. He almost smiled. Or protect the strange girl in his eyes did not had already thrown her away. "I don't need a bed warmer." One more time. Daniel said quietly. "I don't know who you are, but maybe you can help me fix the ship. But I think maybe you deserve a second chance. Tell me what your army is planning." As he locked the workshop doors, his voice and power down stronger, a little colder. Max knew this was just the beginning. Alien? Something big had landed in Junk right away. 47. He thought about his people. The universe was already on its way. He thought about his commander, who had left him behind. He thought about the pain in his body and the fear in his heart. In the end, he just shook his head. I don't know. Daniel stood up and walked to the door. He looked back at Xylo, and for a second, his hard face softened. You're safe for now, he said, but don't try to escape. This ship is full of traps. You'll only get hurt. The door slid shut, and Xylo was alone again. He stared at the ceiling, his mind full of questions. Why was this human showing him mercy? Was it a trick? Or was Daniel really different from the monsters Xylo had heard about? Hours passed. Daniel brought him water and some strange human food. He untied Xylo's hands so he could eat. Xylo noticed Daniel's hands were rough and scarred, as if he had seen many battles. But Daniel never raised his voice. He never showed anger. At night, Xylo could not sleep. He listened to the sounds of the ship, the soft hum of machines, the distant beep of alarms. He wondered if he would live to see another day. He wondered if he could trust Daniel. But most of all, he wondered what would happen next. Would Daniel kill him in the morning? Or was this the start of something he could never have imagined? A chance at life, even as a prisoner on a human ship? As the lights dimmed and silence filled the room, Xylo whispered to himself, "Please don't kill me, human." He didn't know if anyone was listening. He only hoped that mercy was not just a human lie. The silence on the ship felt heavy, like a blanket that refused to let go. Xylo sat in the corner of his small cell, arms crossed tightly over his chest. He kept glancing at the closed door, half expecting Daniel to return with a weapon. But hours passed, and nothing happened. Every tick of the clock was another moment of doubt and fear. Suddenly, the door slid open again. Daniel walked in holding a small tray. He placed it on the ground and slid it across the floor with his boot. On it was food. A strange-looking bread, a slice of fruit, and a small metal cup filled with water. Xylo stared at it suspiciously. "It's not poisoned," Daniel said, seeing the look on the alien's face. "I'm not here to trick you." Xylo hesitated. He wanted to trust Daniel, but old lessons echoed in his mind. Still, hunger won the battle. He picked up the bread and took a careful bite. The taste was bland, but safe. Daniel pulled a chair closer and sat down, watching Xylo eat. He seemed tired, like he had not slept in days. The silence stretched between them, and Xylo shifted uncomfortably. Finally, Daniel spoke. "You offered to help me with the ship," he said. "Can you really do it?" Xylo wiped his mouth with the back of his hand. "I am a soldier, not a mechanic. But I know some things." He looked up, trying to read the human's face. "Why do you care? You could have left me to die. Or finished me yourself." Daniel's lips tightened. "I have seen enough death," he said, voice low. "My orders were clear, no survivors. But I couldn't do it. I guess I'm tired of following orders." Xylo's ears twitched, a habit from home. "What do you want from me, then?" "Information." Daniel nodded. "Yes, you know about the invasion, don't you? Your fleet attacked my world." His fists clenched. "So many people died of families, children. I need to know what your army is planning next. Where will they strike? How many ships are coming?" Xylo swallowed hard. "If I tell you, my people will call me a traitor." Daniel's eyes narrowed. "If you don't, you might not survive long enough to worry about that." Xylo looked down at his food, suddenly unable to eat. He felt trapped by the ropes, by the ship, by the guilt in his heart. But he also saw something in Daniel's eyes. Not hatred, but pain. Real pain. Maybe even a little hope. He decided to take a risk. "I'll help you," Xylo said quietly. "But I need something in return." Daniel raised an eyebrow. "You're in no position to bargain." "Maybe not," Xylo replied. "But if I help you, you must promise me something. Don't kill me. Let me live. Maybe one day. Let me go." Daniel studied him, his face hard to read. After a long pause, he nodded. "Help me, and I'll keep you alive. That's all I can promise now." A deal was struck, silent, shaky, but real. For the next few days, Daniel brought Xylo out of his cell and showed him around the ship's engine room. The human kept his blaster close, but never pointed it at Xylo. Together, they worked in silence. Xylo explained the alien tech, helping Daniel repair wires and patch leaks. The human was smart, quick to learn, careful with every detail. One night, while they worked, Daniel suddenly spoke. "You ever miss home?" Xylo was surprised by the question. He nodded. "Every day. But home is not safe anymore. My people, they use us, send us to fight. Most of us don't want war." Daniel leaned against the wall, eyes distant. "Humans are the same. We just hide it better." Xylo noticed scars on Daniel's arms, old burns and cuts that told stories of old battles. He wondered what the human had lost. Family, friends, maybe even hope. The two enemies stood together in the glow of the ship's engines, sharing a quiet moment that neither could explain. But the uneasy peace was broken when the ship's alarm suddenly blared, red lights flashing. Both froze. Xylo's heart raced. Was it another human ship? His own people? Daniel grabbed his blaster. "Stay behind me," he ordered, voice tense. He peered at the screen, watching as a shadow moved on the radar. "Who is it?" Xylo asked, fear returning. "I don't know. But if it's your people, will you protect me?" Daniel's voice was low, uncertain. Xylo nodded, surprised at his own answer. "I gave you my word. I will help you survive." The two of them stood together, ready for whatever came next. In that moment, prisoner and captor were no longer enemies. They were survivors, bound by fear, hope, and a fragile promise that neither wanted to break. Night fell on the lonely ship, but sleep would not come easily. Xylo lay on a thin mattress in the corner of his small room, staring at the cold metal ceiling. He closed his eyes and tried to rest, but his mind refused to quiet. Memories chased him through the darkness. Memories of explosions, screams, and burning cities. Every time he drifted off, he woke with a start, sweat on his brow and fear pounding in his chest. He was not alone in his nightmares. In the next room, Daniel sat at a narrow table, working quietly. The glow from a tiny screen lit up his tired face. But even as he read through reports and maps, his hands shook sometimes. He kept glancing at the wall that separated him from his alien prisoner. Both men were haunted by the past, but neither wanted to talk about it. Hours passed. The hum of the ship was broken only by the quiet sound of Xylo's restless sleep. Once, Daniel heard Xylo cry out in his own language, a name, maybe, or a plea for help. Daniel paused his work, listening carefully, then finally stood and walked to Xylo's door. He pressed the button and the door slid open with a soft hiss. Xylo jolted awake, eyes wild, ready for a fight. But Daniel only raised his hands, showing he meant no harm. "It's just me," Daniel said quietly. "You were having a nightmare." Xylo's breath slowed. He sat up, rubbing his forehead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make noise." Daniel shook his head. "You're not the only one who can't sleep," he admitted, looking tired. For a moment, the room felt warmer, as if something invisible had shifted. There was a long silence, then Xylo spoke, voice barely above a whisper. "Do humans dream of war, too?" Daniel's eyes grew distant. "All the time," he answered softly. Xylo nodded, understanding more than he could say. The two enemies sat quietly in the half-dark, the walls between them feeling thinner than ever. After a while, Daniel pulled up a chair and sat beside Xylo. "You can talk to me if you want," he said. "About your dreams, about the invasion. Sometimes, speaking helps." Xylo hesitated, but something inside him wanted to share the burden. "I dream of fire," he began. "My home city burning, my brothers screaming. I was told humans started it, that you attacked us first. But now, I'm not sure what is true." Daniel looked at him for a long moment. "We were told the same thing, that your people attacked us without warning. Maybe someone wanted this war to happen. Maybe both sides were lied to." Xylo felt a strange sadness in his chest. He wanted to believe Daniel, but fear held him back. "If I tell you what I know," Xylo said, Will you really let me live? Daniel nodded. I don't want more death. I just want answers. Maybe we can stop more killing, if we work together. Xylo looked down at his hands, then up at Daniel. For the first time, he truly believed the human might mean it. The next target, Xylo whispered, is a city called Port Haven. Our fleet will attack at dawn in 3 days. Daniel's eyes widened. He reached for a small recorder and pressed a button. Say that again, please. Xylo repeated the information, his voice shaking. He felt guilty, as if he had betrayed his people. But he also felt a tiny spark of hope. Hope that maybe, by telling the truth, he could save lives on both sides. Daniel nodded, voice firm. Thank you, Xylo. You did the right thing. Suddenly, a sharp alarm rang out through the ship. Both men jumped to their feet. Daniel checked his screen. Another ship was close, moving fast. Red lights flashed in the corridor. Xylo's heart raced. Is it my people? Daniel shook his head. No. This signal, it's human. But if they find you here, they'll kill you without asking questions. For a moment, Xylo panicked. He pressed his back to the wall, searching for an escape. But Daniel's voice stopped him. I'll hide you, Daniel said. Trust me. Daniel grabbed Xylo's arm and pulled him toward a hidden hatch behind a panel in the wall. Inside, it was dark and cramped. Xylo squeezed in, knees to his chest. Daniel closed the hatch, leaving only a tiny crack for air. Outside, Xylo listened as footsteps echoed in the hallway. Rough voices called out, searching every room. Daniel's voice was calm, answering questions, leading the humans away from the hidden door. Xylo held his breath, heart thumping. Minutes felt like hours. Finally, the voices faded. The hatch opened and Daniel pulled Xylo back into the light. They're gone, Daniel said, breathing hard. You're safe. Xylo looked at Daniel, a new feeling rising in his chest. Gratitude. This human, his enemy, had risked everything to save him. Why did you help me? Xylo whispered. Daniel managed a tired smile. Because you trusted me first. As the two men stood together in the quiet ship, something changed between them. They were still enemies, but now, maybe they were also something more. Survivors who shared their secrets and nightmares, hoping for a better tomorrow. Days passed on the drifting ship, each one a little quieter, a little less hostile than the last. Daniel and Xylo, once enemy soldier and prisoner, had settled into a strange routine. They spoke more often now, not just about engines or war, but about simple things. Food, music, the weather back home, and even childhood memories. Trust was slow to grow, but it grew piece by piece. One afternoon, as the ship floated in the shadow of a dead moon, Daniel brought out an old radio. He set it on the table and turned a dial, searching through the static. Finally, a soft tune played. A simple human song, slow and full of longing. Xylo listened, surprised by how the notes felt like a soft hand on his heart. Daniel noticed. You like music? He asked. Xylo nodded, a little shy. We have music on my planet, too. But it's louder, stronger. Yours is softer. Daniel smiled. Sometimes, softer is what we need. He watched as Xylo closed his eyes, letting the music wash over him. For a few minutes, the war felt far away. After the song ended, Daniel went back to working on a broken panel. Xylo watched him, curious. Do you miss your home? He asked quietly. Daniel paused, then nodded. Every day. I had a family. My brother was a pilot. He didn't make it. His voice trembled, just for a moment. Xylo was quiet. I lost friends too. My brother fought beside me. He believed we were heroes, fighting for a good cause. Now, I'm not so sure. He looked down at his hands, the blue veins glowing faintly under his purple skin. For a long time, neither spoke. It was a comfortable silence, the kind that grows between people who share pain. Daniel finally said, maybe both sides are wrong, or maybe both are just afraid. Xylo looked up, meeting Daniel's eyes. Maybe it doesn't matter who started it. Maybe what matters is what we do next. Daniel nodded. Maybe you're right. Just then, the ship's alarm beeped. this time softer, but urgent. A message blinked on the main screen. Daniel read it quickly, then frowned. There's a ship close by, too small for an army, but big enough to be trouble. Xylo stiffened. Maybe it's a scout, looking for survivors. Or, maybe someone is hunting us. Daniel's hand moved to his blaster. We need to hide just in case. But if things go bad, I need to know. Can I trust you? Xylo hesitated. It would be easy to betray Daniel, to call for his own people and maybe find a way home. But then he remembered the nights Daniel sat with him, listening to his fears. He remembered the human's tired smile and the hope in his voice. Xylo made a choice. You can trust me, he said simply. I don't want more war. Not here. The two worked quickly, hiding signs of Xylo's presence and locking doors. Daniel checked weapons, making sure they were set to stun, not kill. I don't want blood, he said quietly. Not if we can help it. The unknown ship landed with a soft thud. Footsteps echoed in the hall. Daniel and Xylo waited in the shadows, listening. The air was thick with tension. The door slid open and a figure stepped in. A woman in human uniform, tall and sharp-eyed. She held a scanner and looked around, frowning. Daniel stepped out first, hands raised. Identify yourself, she demanded. I'm Captain Daniel Hayes, ship's owner, Daniel replied, voice steady. She eyed him, suspicious. This ship was marked destroyed. Why are you here? I'm repairing damage, that's all, Daniel lied. He prayed she would not search too deeply. The woman stepped closer, scanner beeping. Suddenly, her eyes narrowed. There's another life form aboard. Show yourself. Xylo stepped from the shadows, hands open. The woman's eyes widened. She drew her blaster. An alien. Enemy soldier. Daniel moved quickly. Wait. He's a prisoner. He surrendered. He's helping me fix the ship. The woman did not lower her weapon. Prisoners are not allowed outside camps. You both broke protocol. Xylo's heart pounded. Please, he said. I only want peace. No more fighting. The woman hesitated. Her face softened, just a little. If you're lying, both of you will pay. Daniel nodded. He saved my life. I wouldn't be here without him. There was a long silence. Finally, the woman holstered her blaster. I'll report this to command, but for now you're both safe. Stay here. Don't try to leave. As she left, Daniel turned to Xylo, relief in his eyes. That was close. Xylo let out a shaky breath. Too close. Daniel smiled. Still think I can't trust you? Xylo managed a smile of his own. Not anymore. For the first time, they laughed. Two survivors, enemies turned allies, holding on to hope in the middle of war. Outside, the stars turned silently. Inside, two broken souls began to believe that maybe, just maybe, peace was possible. Night returned to the lonely ship, darker and heavier than before. Daniel and Xylo stayed quiet, listening for sounds that didn't belong. The visit from the human officer left them shaken, but she was gone now, and the ship floated silently in cold space. But they were not alone. Unseen, a shadow moved through the lower corridors. It crept past empty rooms, scanning the walls, sniffing the air. The ship's security sensors flickered, confused for just a second, before falling silent again. The shadow was not human. It was alien, quick and silent, searching for something or someone. In the engine room, Xylo checked a loose wire while Daniel stood watch. I don't like this, Daniel muttered. That officer said she'd report us. What if command sends a squad? Xylo shook his head. They won't come for one broken ship. But I feel something wrong. Like being watched. Daniel shivered. He had learned to trust Xylo's instincts. He listened hard, but the only sound was the quiet hum of engines. Let's check the cameras. They hurried to the main console. Daniel tapped the screens. One by one, they showed empty halls, dark corners, storage rooms. But on camera 7, something moved. A blur. A shape slipping through a doorway. Xylo leaned close. That's not human. That's a tracker. Daniel's heart pounded. Your people sent someone for you? Xylo swallowed. If they find me here, they'll kill me for being captured. Maybe kill you too. Daniel clenched his jaw. We're not letting that happen. They moved quickly, shutting down extra lights and locking doors behind them. Daniel grabbed a stun blaster and tossed another to Xylo. If we're found, no killing, he whispered. Just survive. The intruder was close now. Its footsteps were too soft for human ears, but Xylo heard them, light, quick, always moving. He remembered the stories from training. How trackers never stopped, how they always found their prey. Listen, Xylo said quietly. We can't fight it directly. We have to trick it. Daniel nodded. He trusted Xylo now, more than he trusted the humans who'd left him out here in the first place. They split up, moving through the ship's winding corridors. Daniel crept down the left side, Xylo on the right, each listening for any sound. Every shadow looked like danger. Every creak made their hearts jump. Suddenly, Daniel heard a soft hiss behind him. He spun around, blaster ready, but it was only a loose vent rattling. He sighed in relief, then froze. The floor was wet. Drops of green liquid, not from any pipe or human supply. Xylo's blood. He followed the drops, heart racing. Around the next corner, the tracker appeared, tall, wrapped in dark armor, eyes glowing blue in the dark, turned toward Daniel, hissing. Daniel fired his blaster, but the tracker dodged easily, moving like a shadow. The tracker lunged, and Daniel fell hard, hitting his shoulder. His weapon skidded across the floor. Just then, Xylo appeared behind the tracker. Stop! He shouted in his own language. The tracker paused, surprised. Traitor! The tracker spat, voice cold and metallic. You help the humans now? Xylo stood tall, wounded but strong. This human saved my life. He is not the enemy. You don't have to kill him. The tracker glared. Orders are clear. No survivors. No traitors. Daniel saw the tracker raise a hidden blade. He struggled to his feet, reaching for his blaster, but Xylo stepped in front of him. Don't! Xylo pleaded, voice desperate. This war is wrong. More killing solves nothing. For a moment, the tracker hesitated, blade shaking. You are weak, Xylo. You should die with the humans. Daniel watched, amazed, as Xylo shook his head. Maybe I am weak, but I won't help with more death. The tracker hissed in disgust. It lunged for Daniel, but Xylo grabbed its arm. They fought. Fast, brutal, silent except for the sound of armor scraping and heavy breathing. Daniel tried to help, but the tracker knocked him away. In the end, Xylo managed to pin the tracker's arm, twisting until the hidden blade clattered to the floor. Enough! Xylo shouted. You don't have to do this. Go. Leave us. Tell command I'm dead. The tracker looked at Xylo, eyes burning with anger and sorrow. You are dead to us already, it said quietly. Then, without another word, it slipped away into the darkness, gone as quickly as it had come. Daniel staggered to his feet, breathing hard. You saved me. Xylo nodded, bleeding from a new cut on his arm. We saved each other. They locked the ship down, double-checking every door and vent. Silence returned, but it felt different now, safer somehow. Sitting together in the quiet, Daniel handed Xylo a bandage. Why did you do it? He asked softly. Xylo looked at Daniel, tired but determined. Because I want peace. And because I trust you. For the first time, Daniel believed it could be true. Outside, the stars watched as two survivors, once enemies, became brothers in hope. The silence after the intruder left felt different. Daniel and Xylo were both wounded, but alive. The old fear was gone, replaced by something new. Trust, real and solid, forged in danger. Daniel helped Xylo clean the fresh cut on his arm. Their hands moved quietly, used to each other now. You don't have to thank me, Daniel said as he wrapped the bandage. You saved my life. Xylo just nodded. He stared at his own hands, remembering the tracker's words. You are dead to us already. For the first time, he didn't feel afraid of being alone. He was free to make his own choice now, free to pick his side. Later, they sat together in the ship's small kitchen, sharing a silent meal. Daniel pushed his food around the plate, lost in thought. Finally, he spoke, voice low. "I have to send a message to Earth Command," he said. "They're expecting my report. They need to know about the attack on Port Haven. Maybe we can save those people." His eyes flicked to Xylo. "But if they find out I helped you, I'll be called a traitor too." Xylo was quiet for a moment. "If my people find out I helped you, they'll hunt me forever." They sat in silence. Each man held the power to destroy the other, but both knew they didn't want to. Something unspoken had grown between them, a fragile bond, stronger than fear. Suddenly, Xylo stood up. "I know a way out," he said. "A real way out. But it means betraying everything I once believed." Daniel's eyes narrowed with hope. "Tell me," Xylo explained. "There's an old escape pod in the storage bay. It has a cloaking device. We could use it to reach Port Haven before anyone else. Warn your people and help the civilians escape. After that, I can disappear. No one will find me, human or alien." Daniel considered this. "We'd have to leave everything behind. This ship, our records, even our pasts." Xylo nodded. "Sometimes the past is a prison." For a long time, Daniel looked at Xylo. In that moment, he didn't see an alien. He saw a fellow soldier, tired of war, ready to risk everything for peace. "What do you really want?" Daniel asked. Xylo's answer was simple. "I want to stop running. I want to do one thing right." A sharp alarm cut through their conversation. Daniel rushed to the control panel. "It's a message from Earth Command," he said, reading the words on the screen. "They know I have you. They ordered me to turn you in for questioning, dead or alive." Xylo swallowed hard. "If you do that, they'll torture me. They'll use what I know to start another war." Daniel's hands trembled. He stared at the blinking message. "If I refuse, I'll lose everything, my rank, my home." The choice hung between them, heavy as gravity. Xylo stepped closer. "I won't blame you if you turn me in. I'd rather die than start another war." But Daniel shook his head. "No, I'm done choosing war." He turned off the screen, the final decision burning in his eyes. "We use the pod. We save the city. And then we disappear. Together." They moved fast. In the dim storage bay, Xylo pulled off an old panel, revealing the tiny escape pod. It was dusty and cramped, but the controls flickered to life. Daniel loaded emergency rations and maps. Xylo checked the cloak, a technology only aliens knew how to use. Before they left, Daniel paused in the doorway, looking back at the ship that had been his prison and his home. "Ready?" Xylo nodded. "More than ever." As they launched, the pod shimmered and vanished from view, slipping into the blackness of space. Daniel piloted while Xylo sent a coded warning to Port Haven. "Evacuate. Attack is coming. Save the civilians." Their escape was not easy. Enemy sensors pinged around them. Once, a patrol ship nearly caught them, but Xylo twisted the controls and they tumbled safely past. Every second was a gamble. Every moment, Daniel and Xylo trusted each other a little more. Finally, the blue-green planet of Port Haven appeared in the window, beautiful and peaceful under the stars. Daniel sent the last message. "Incoming danger. This is not a drill." They watched the first ships evacuate, families running, soldiers preparing. They had done all they could. As the sun rose, Daniel turned to Xylo. "You could leave now," he said. "Go anywhere. I won't stop you." But Xylo smiled, tired but free. "I think I'll stay. I am not afraid anymore. Not with you." They sat together in the silence, watching the planet turn below them. The war was not over, but for now, two enemies had chosen hope instead of hate. For the first time, both felt truly alive. Outside, the escape pod drifted quietly, hidden from the world. Inside, Daniel and Xylo prepared for whatever came next. No longer prisoners, but partners, ready to face the unknown together. The escape pod floated far above Port Haven, lost in the dark, quiet space between worlds. Daniel and Xylo watched the city below as tiny lights flickered and ships hurried away. Proof their warning had been heard. The invasion would come, but this time innocent lives would be saved. But the peace inside the pod was fragile. The quiet was broken by the sound of a radio crackling with angry human voices. Unidentified craft. Identify yourself. This is Earth Command. Prepare to be boarded. Daniel's hands tightened on the controls. Xylo looked at him, worry in his alien eyes. They both knew the truth. If Earth Command found Xylo here, there would be no mercy. Daniel, too, would be labeled a traitor. We can run, Xylo whispered. But there is nowhere left to hide. Sooner or later, someone will find us. Daniel looked at his friend. I won't let them hurt you. We did the right thing. The radio crackled again. You have 10 seconds to respond. Daniel took a breath, steady and sure. He pressed the button. This is Captain Daniel Hayes. There's an alien with me, but he's not the enemy. He helped me save Port Haven. He saved lives. A long silence followed. The only sound was the faint hum of the pod. Then, cold and sharp, the voice returned. You will power down your engines and wait. Any attempt to escape will be met with force. Daniel's eyes met Xylo's. Whatever happens, we face it together. As the pod drifted, two large ships approached from opposite sides. Their lights flooded the pod, and armed soldiers in heavy armor boarded them. Daniel and Xylo raised their hands, showing they had no weapons. A human officer stepped forward, gun aimed straight at Xylo. Is this the alien? Daniel stepped in front. He's not a prisoner. He's my partner. We both saved Port Haven. Check the evacuation orders, those were our warnings. Without him, thousands would be dead. The officer's eyes were hard. Traitor, he hissed. You helped the enemy. Daniel held his ground. He isn't the enemy. Not anymore. We made a choice. We chose peace. The officer hesitated. The other soldiers looked uncertain, glancing from Daniel to Xylo. Behind their hard helmets, there was confusion, not hate. Xylo stepped forward, hands open. I am not here to fight. My people, some still want war, but I do not. I helped Daniel because I wanted to stop the killing. One of the younger soldiers lowered his gun just a little. Is it true? Did you really warn the city? Daniel nodded. Check your logs. The code came from this pod. The civilians got away. We stopped the worst from happening. Slowly, the officer spoke into his radio. There was a long, tense silence as they waited for orders. Daniel and Xylo stood shoulder to shoulder, ready for whatever came next. Finally, the officer's radio beeped. A voice calm, older spoke. They tell the truth. Stand down. Take them into custody, but do not harm them. We have questions to ask. The soldiers lowered their weapons. Daniel let out a shaky breath. Xylo nodded, relief and exhaustion mixing on his face. They were led off the pod, not as enemies but not as heroes either, just two survivors in a world that still struggled to understand what peace looked like. In the cold, bright hallway of the command ship, Daniel and Xylo waited, sitting side by side. After many hours, a senior commander entered, gray-haired and tired. She looked at Daniel, then at Xylo. You broke rules, both of you, but you also saved lives. That cannot be ignored. Daniel spoke carefully. We did what we thought was right. The commander nodded. There will be questions, investigations. Some will call you traitors. Some will call you heroes. But you have shown that enemies can choose trust instead of hate. She looked at Xylo. What do you want now? Xylo hesitated, then spoke softly. Freedom. A chance to live in peace. Maybe a place to belong. The commander nodded again. Perhaps there is a future for that. For now, you will stay here under protection. Your actions have given us a reason to talk, not fight. Maybe you started something bigger than you think. As the commander left, Daniel smiled at Xylo. We made it. Xylo smiled back, tired but hopeful. Thank you for not killing me, human. You kept your promise. Daniel's eyes softened. You kept yours too. Outside the window, the stars turned silently, watching a new story begin. Two former enemies, side by side, waiting for a world to catch up to the peace they had found inside themselves. No one knew what tomorrow would bring. More danger, more questions, perhaps even more war. But for now, Daniel and Xylo were free. Free to hope, free to dream, and free to show that trust could change even the oldest hatreds. And somewhere in the darkness, the universe seemed just a little brighter.